All right. Well, welcome everyone to the US Chess Executive Board meeting. Today is today is January 14th. And what we are going to do right now is go through the roll call. So I'll go ahead and let me get to my screen here. And we'll begin the roll call. Here we go. All right, so starting with me, Kevin Pryor, President, I'm here. Moving on to Vice President John Fernandez.
Present.
Vice President of Finance Chuck Unruh.
Present.
Secretary Mike Hoffpower.
Here.
Member at Large Randy Bauer.
Present.
Member at Large Leela DeCan.
Here.
Member at Large David Hayter.
Present.
Member at Large Lakshmana Vishwanath.
Here.
And Executive Director Renee Bartlett.
Here.
Great. All right, so we are there any new conflicts of interest that need to be disclosed? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the financial report. Vice President of Finance Chuck Unruh.
Thank you, Mr. President. We certainly live in interesting times, and December was very interesting. Normally, December enters the positive side of our business cycle. Around October, November, things start picking up as the schools and scholastic memberships increase. This December, didn't happen that way. I was very surprised. Membership was good. Membership actually year to year was excellent, especially as the new dues increase was January 1. We saw bargain hunters come in, but at the same time, we deferred I don't want to say most, many of the people coming in for bargains did 2 years. So we deferred at least 50,000 worth of revenue. So for the month, the problem was the bottom line. I was surprised to find that we were $236,000 negative for the month of December. That's normally a very positive month. So the search started. When we have a number or a point, point doesn't make a trend, but a trend starts with a point. So Renee and I have been going through the financials, and membership has been lagging from the budget. We know that we're down there slightly. 50,000 of this $236,000 loss probably came from deferring to the second year. 104,000 came from a really difficult interest rate market in December. The longer term or longer dated bills and bonds of the US government found their yields at new highs for the year. Now, we're not talking about from January, we're talking about the middle, since we received our first short-term rate cut from the Federal Reserve back in October, September time. So those rates have gone from, on the 10-year bill, from 3.60, that's 3.6%, to 4.79 today. Doesn't sound like much, but it's a tremendous percentage increase, and it had a very negative impact on our interest-sensitive portfolios. Now, in my reports, I categorize that as unrealized gains or losses, because if interest rates come down, obviously we gain all that back. The actual dividends and interest remain the same. We're on budget with those. And for the quarter, we're still ahead on our investments by $127,000. So this was a 1 month disturbance. So now we can account for 104,000 and another 50,000. But as we drill down into the numbers, what happened is our events once again were $300,000 off the mark. Now I don't know if we pull forward some expenses. Well, we're in the middle of research right now to find out exactly what happened, because as of November, we were $150,000 to the good against the budget. At the end of December, we're down $126,000 to the budget. So that's a $300,000 swing. We believe that it's in the fee day events, but we're going to look at all of our events. What are our real cost of the events? And Renee is diligently working with Misty. Misty's with Bestow, our accounting staff, and we will have some real data so that in the future we can look at the priority of our events and actually know what we're spending on them. This is important because we've had issues with events now for the last 6 months, and we were in recovery. Well, what surprised me probably the most, and it makes sense now that we're paying all of our bills, all bills paid for these fee day events, and they were so destructive to the income statement, was our cash. Our cash was for the month was at a new low. I'm talking about operational cash for the quarter. We were down 12%. That's $97,000 approximately. Now, the health of a company at times with all bills paid is real easy in the sense that you look at their cash position. Is it improving? Is it going negative? Are they doing investments with it? Well, this is just straight a decrease in our cash position. Is it still strong? Yes. Now, when we talk about the operational cash position, that includes the reserve fund. The reserve fund actually made money in December. It is in 100% cash deposits. So the story has to evolve around not as much as anticipated in membership dues for the year, at the same time, larger than anticipated expenses on the bottom line. Now we say, well, hold on, we've got a lot of expenses in between, but cost controls seem to have everything in budget. In fact, I would say that our executive director has been running short-staffed, and we actually have seen a savings in payroll. So that's not our problem. The expense side of normal expenses for operations is not the problem. Now, will this right itself in the next 3 months? Well, we're going to do our best to make that happen. And we can't guarantee it, but we need to make progress there, because at the end of the next 3 months, I anticipate that the rainy day fund will hit a low of $73,000. We have 2 payments that will be due to LEGO for their IT upgrade. Now, depreciation-wise, we have not depreciated any of the $300,000 that has been paid to date with LEGO. So we're carrying that on the books at full value. At the end of this year, we will start a depreciation of at least $100,000 a year. So that will impact the bottom line. We look at events, projects, they're right in line with the budget. Donations, well, donations have been a little light this year. I think we're down around 45,000 from anticipated, but that can pick up at any time. Donations are very spotty. So this is not a warning that we are in trouble. This is a warning that we have to be careful and we have to actually research our outreach. And at this time, I ask if Renee has any comments on operations or what she sees for the next 3 months.
Sure. I'd like to note that we did have excellent results in the K-12 event in National Harbor. And so that's not the cause of any downturn. In terms of events, our membership numbers are holding steady. As of today, we have 111,983 members and 1,271 affiliate members. So we're holding steady. We're not losing ground, but we're not gaining ground either.
Okay. I would say on members, we are holding. I haven't reviewed the membership revenue to see what the mix is. If we're actually on a downtrend where we're not getting as much per member, but I think we'll be fine that way. We're only off a couple percent for the year from what I understand. And we're actually December to December very good. So I thank you for bringing to my attention that the tournament was very good, and it's not the U.S. events that are damaging the bottom line. At this point, I'll open it up to questions. Mr. President, you're on mute.
Kevin, you're muted.
Thank you. It's good to hear that this event did not hurt us. Are all the financials in for the event?
They are. We just paid our last bill for the residents in.
All right. Anybody have any other questions?
And on another upbeat note,
Go ahead.
we're in the right sectors and the market has rewarded us. We're gaining back our unrealized losses. Not all of them yet, but we're on our way.
Does anyone have any other questions? Financial?
I would just be curious to know what percentage of our youth memberships are voucher memberships versus regular price memberships. Because I suspect that when Chuck says, when Renee says the number of members is roughly the same, and Chuck says the membership revenue is decreasing, my gut tells me that the voucher memberships are accounting for a lot of the drop. From a standpoint of people just use the voucher memberships to renew their kids' memberships.
Renee, would you like to address that? I have last year's numbers.
So I don't have the current voucher number, but I will note that I think what Chuck is reporting is that we had budgeted and projected 2% growth. And so when we're not seeing that growth, that's what he's talking about instead of it holding steady.
Well, you said the numbers of members were roughly the same, that was steady. And Chuck was saying that membership revenue was down. Now does he mean down relative to the forecast or the total dollar value of the membership in December has decreased?
I think he's talking about forecast.
It is about the forecast.
Okay.
The numbers are less than we anticipated, but once again, we have the dues increase coming in January. We'll see how much of that was pulled forward. Not hearing any
Any
other
questions?
questions, we can move on then.
All right, then, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to closed session. All right, we are back from closed session to open session. Again, this is the January 14th Executive Board meeting, and we do have one item to vote upon. Mr. Secretary?
That's correct, Mr. President. The executive board moves to revoke the membership of Evan Rabin, U.S. Chess ID 12720571, and that a flag be placed on his official record to prohibit his ability to renew his membership or otherwise rejoin U.S. Chess until such time as the criminal charges against him are resolved.
All right, that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand or both.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Mr. President, there's no other motions.
All right. I would just like to add to our official record that we are in January, and at this point, the office is actively reaching out to people who signed petitions for people to be candidates for the executive board. So we are in the process of confirming candidates for the upcoming election. So this year is an election year, and we are on the way with that, as well as continuing preparations for Super Nationals. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Well, it was seconded.
Oh, it was.
I'll
All right.
second it. I'll
Then,
second it again.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Have a good night, folks.
M-
Thanks, everybody.
Mike,
Thanks.
do you have a second?